Got your toy. Got your toy. Yeah. Yeah. Got his toy. Where's my toy though? You win that one.
He wins all of them, which is apparently the worst thing you could do with dogs is to let them win. You're supposed to finish tug of war, you winning the toy every time. Apparently.
One. One.
Huh?
One. One. But that sounds so. Good job. Whatever you just inhaled.
Yeah,
No.
I met another dog. I mean, whiskey. Yeah, the golden retriever is huge. Okay.
Dog.
Oh, move.
Oh, fucking sugar. You know you're pretty good, buddy.
What? I don't really want to know. I'm good. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Okay.
Madison, she really loves it.
I used to love Yahweh.
What? Chihuahua?
Yahweh?
I don't know what that is.
Never mind then.
Oh, we're ready. So at the end, we can whittle our alerted. It's the other clans that are in the top 10 that have become immortal. So you act like you guys. Square. How we do that?
For fuck's sake.
Dark brother.
Ah! Ah.
Hey, I'll lay down in a sec. Yeah. No, queen. Right.
The only thing I ask you
What?
is ginger ale, because I give it to him for work, so he doesn't get sick at work.
Yeah.
Because he drinks too much coffee before work sometimes. Ah!
Where did my backpack go? Oh, I left it outside.
Oh shit! You couldn't put it back on the counter after?
Oh yeah. Well, I only cleaned one half. I didn't clean the underneath of that thing.
I don't know, baby. What did I do with my phone? Oh, right there. Ugh. Okay.
The Mix and Match event is on at Sleep Country. That's good news if you're looking for a mattress that's a little firmer, cozier, cooler, or a pillow that truly matches your vibe, tastes, your needs, your sleep. Everyone's sleeping needs are unique, so it's time to get mixing and matching. During our Mix and Match event, get up to 20% off almost everything. Hurry, it's for a limited time only. Speak to a secret only at Sleep Country. Proudly Canadian for over 30 years.
With 4 basics deals like 454 grams of lactancia butter for just $4.88 each, you'll be saying, Yowza! Wowza! Only until June 4th. Shop in store and online. 4 basics, always more for less.
Measles is spreading. The good news is that the measles vaccine is safe, highly effective, and can provide lifelong protection. Contact your local public health unit to check your vaccination status or book a vaccine appointment today. Visit ontario.ca/measles to learn more. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
Hey, it's John Moore. Springtime means it's Jiffy time at my house. My yard is a mess. The barbecue hasn't been touched since last summer. And the windows, let's not.
And?
What?
Any idea where my blue speaker is?
No.
Oh, never mind. Thank you. No, of course. Always right when I ask you. Keep an eye on my dog, please.
Yes, I know.
It's making a weird sound. Huffing and puffing.
Well, you got a room right now. Kind of a base. I'll pick on him and,
Maybe bring him into the room with you. Keeps making a weird huff sound. Okay. It's just freezing inside the house. Oh, okay, it's a little chilly. Whatever. No. I hate you, computer. Can you not do that in the mic? What are you? No, do it. Oh, you're a fool. You done? Leave it. Ready? Go. Good job. Much better. Who's listening? Ooh, booze. Fuck yeah. What? Let's chat. What up?
A little bit different in the recipe. I think that you probably gonna like.
Oh my god, really? Are we talking
What do you
about
think?
recipes?
Yeah. So what we've got here is the original, which is made with this.
No. I'd fucking watch The View if I wanted to listen to a bunch of fucking hens clucking about fucking recipes. And start talking about your martini mixing.
Enough with their woke.
We're good.
I lost my temper and used language that was most decidedly unparliamentary, and for that I unreservedly apologize.
It's true. I called him a racist. Would ask the member from Burnaby South to apologize. I will not.
WTF. That is an abbreviation which is commonly used with language which is commonly understood not to be parliamentary.
Where's the funds?
Okay, just nonsense. $500 billion? What? Wait, what? I thought you guys were talking about
Some
refugees,
people are
and you were
born
talking
with a
about something like
passion for
500
animals.
billion.
Ross University
Wait, what?
School of Veterinary Medicine.
His spending is not as bad as Justin Trudeau's. It's actually worse.
It's a bad day to be Donald Trump for a couple different reasons. Lots of breaking news over the last few hours. First, CBC continues to defend, deflect, and protect Mark Carney and the Liberal Party of Canada. And speaking of Canadian politics, there's some weird things happening in Parliament right now, some weird priorities that, if only they were valid and factual and a real concern of the public of whom these individuals serve, we could almost feel very proud of them rather than scared of what they are doing to us. I'm Jasmine Lane. This is Over Opinionated. Subscribe, follow, like, comment your thoughts down below. And first, I want to give credit where credit is due to somebody who I'm actually not the biggest fan of, because he's been using my podcast and clips of it, like very, very clipped, total misrepresentations. My face has been in political smear campaigns that have taken place in the province I call home. Really weird stuff here. But nonetheless, credit where credit is due. And Wab Kinew actually impressed me with this one.
They're presumably starting a fire on their site.
What proof do you have that Alamos is connected to the start of the fire?
Yeah, but all the residents say it started at the mine site.
So what proof do you have?
I guess we're waiting on the investigation still, but could you repeat what you just said to for my colleagues in English about your message to Lynn Lake residents?
You know, I used to be a Daily News reporter, so I say this with the utmost of understanding for the pressures that everybody in this room deals with, but I really do think that responsible reporting is very important right now. Journalistic Standards and Practices book, and just making sure that you're not reporting hearsay and that stuff is double sourced before it's getting shared with the public, I think is very, very important. Not to say that that's a specific commentary on this, but just across the board. We've got a very specific message out here today. Flin Flon, a large community in the north, is on the verge of evacuation, and we're asking for people to listen to the message. We're asking for people to get ready, and we're asking Manitobans in other parts of the province to open your doors if the emergency officials come calling.
So that was in regard to the fires, which have caused Manitoba to be in a state of emergency. We got hit with fires about 2 weeks ago in a totally opposite part of the province. Last night, I was reading that there were 17,000 people who were evacuated from Flin Flon, Manitoba and surrounding area. Devastating stuff. I know so many people who live in Flin Flon or work in Flin Flon, so they kind of partially live there because it's quite far from the city. Just really, really sad. Nonetheless, though, Wab Kinew there really shutting down a big rumor that's been going around about who started and caused the fires. And I definitely think that was a respectable and appropriate way to go about such a question. And I'm happy with that for sure, even if I'm not crazy about the guy in general. Elizabeth May also thinks that people are pretty happy with her. Take a listen to what she said last night.
Never to heckle. I promise to try to make my constituents proud of my conduct. And that's why I've never heckled. I tell you, I've been tempted. I like to heckle all the time. I just said, okay, it's decorum, but it's more than that. It's respect for your traditions and respect for democracy. It's not allowing our policies to be hijacked by dirty tricks and hyper-partisanship. And really, our democracy is in peril when our citizens look at what's going on in Parliament and think, I don't want to watch that anymore. That's really... And when you see school groups get up and leave from the gallery because the teachers think this is not what I want my students to see, this conduct wouldn't be permissible.
If you see the books that kids have inside of their libraries and even the curriculum in some provinces, I'm pretty sure those teachers weren't getting up and leaving because of people heckling each other in Parliament, but whatever. Elizabeth May, according to Blacklock's reporter, is officially petitioning for Parliament to classify a gay genocide. So it says here, Green Party MP Elizabeth May has sponsored a petition asking that Parliament declare an LGBTQ genocide in Canada. She did not comment on the measure yesterday in her first remarks on the 45th Parliament. Human rights of the Canadian LGBTQ community are in danger, is what she was quoted saying. The thing about this that's kind of interesting is that the petition is calling on Parliament to declare that there is a genocide taking place in Canada, which is a term that usually all the time refers to an intentional and systematic extermination of a group. That is actually what the UN definition of genocide is in world. So kind of a weird claim to make. At the very least, there is absolutely no state-sponsored extermination or physical destruction campaigns against LGBTQ people in Canada. Hate crimes, or there's hate crimes everywhere. Everybody gets targeted by that. Yes, they suck and they're mean, and you shouldn't participate in that. They're definitely not evidence of genocide. I think they're evidence of people who are just mean. Really, really odd. It's a really weird reaction to some of the political trends that we're seeing lately. And I wonder, too, if the reason why she is putting this forward is due to the increased online hate speech and disinformation, as she calls it, and also the protest over gender ideology in schools, the books that they have, pronoun policies. Everything about this, though, is just kind of weird. It certainly isn't actually factually an erosion of rights. Some may argue the opposite, actually, that all of this compelled speech, censorship, whatever, is actually an erosion of rights. And of course, all of those things are implemented in order to protect the rights of some and not others.
Whether by keeping our elbows up, buying Canadian, exploring the best of our country has to offer, cheering on our favorite Canadian sports team. Shout out to the Oilers. We hope they bring the Stanley Cup home this year. Or proudly flying the Canadian flag at home. We've shown that we are proud, resilient, and strong. And we've learned that we are stronger when we stand together.
When it comes to this stuff, so apparently it's okay to celebrate Canada Day again. Remember when Canada Day was literally canceled?
Here's the 2-minute story of how I built a $10 million a year online business and how my mistakes and successes can help.
Canceled across many provinces, and honestly, leave it to the Liberal government to even fail at successfully psyoping a nation, because psyops usually at least are very smart and they're critical in how they are done, whereas in Canada, I'm starting to wonder if people are actually just stupid, if our government officials are actually stupid, and that's why they're doing things like, oh no Canada Day, it's banned because of that thing that happened that I'm not talking about on YouTube, because I really don't want this account to get taken down, but you can do your own research, and I encourage you to go past the third page of Google on that one. But it went from that, it went from we don't have an identity, we're a post-national identity, to all of a sudden, never mind, you can wave your Canadian flag. We're not going to freeze your bank accounts for doing that. And they literally had so many people in the entire country afraid to be a proud Canadian, afraid to have a Canadian flag, only to now, oh, we're sovereign.
Because the issue at the beginning of the campaign was
What the fuck happened here?
the threat from Donald Trump. And in the speech, there's no such thing. It just vanished, disappeared.
So it looks like Donald Trump's tariffs aren't actually the greatest threat to our sovereignty, as a U.S. court has officially struck down a massive part of Donald Trump's tariffs. Now, this is being updated almost every hour, by the way, but I first want to just read you. So Mark Carney was in the House of Commons this morning, and he said that the decision is consistent with Canada's long-standing position that the U.S. tariffs, the IEEPA tariffs, were unlawful as well as unjustified. And then he added that our strong relationship or trading relationship with the United States is still profoundly and adversely threatened by unjustified tariffs on steel, aluminum, and the auto sector. Still no mention at all of the Chinese tariffs at 100% that are dramatically changing the lives of so many farmers right now. And Also, those tariffs impact an industry that is like triple the size of the auto sector, but what do I know? He goes on to say it therefore remains the top priority of Canada's new government to establish a new economic and security relationship with the United States and to strengthen our collaboration with reliable trading partners and allies around the world.
The Court of International Trade saying he overstepped his authority under an International Emergency Economic Powers Act. This was, I believe, the 3-judge panel. There was a Reagan appointee, a Trump appointee, and a Biden appointee on this particular panel. This was kind of widely predicted among those who study trade closely. So those European tariffs blocked. Senator, your reaction?
You mean that a federal judge has intervened with the other two branches' ability to make policy? I'm shocked. That hasn't happened since yesterday.
5 minutes ago.
It'll be appealed. I think it's pretty clear that the president has tariff authority. Congress gave it to him. And you can debate whether that was a prudent move or not. But I think it's pretty clear that he has tariff authority.
Yeah, so this again,
I
this
think
was
it'll be reversed on appeal.
yeah.
As you can imagine, the Trump administration is not too happy about this one. Before we get into what Caroline Levitt had to say about that, just a friendly reminder that what this means right now for Canada, at least, is that Trump's new round of tariffs are blocked. So importers will not be paying new duties for now. However, his team is in fact appealing this, and staying in place is the existing tariffs on steel and aluminum, China, and targeted anti-dumping penalties, which are Section 232 and Section 301 of these tariff implementations.
America cannot function if President Trump, or any other president for that matter, has their sensitive diplomatic or trade negotiations railroaded by activist judges. President Trump is in the process of rebalancing America's trading agreements with the entire world, bringing tens of billions of dollars in tariff revenues to our country, and finally ending the United States of America from being ripped off. These judges are threatening to undermine the credibility of the United States on the world stage. The administration has already filed an emergency motion for a stay pending appeal and an immediate administrative stay to strike down this egregious decision.
We already know that the entire Trump tariff chaos narrative was completely overblown. Does it suck? Absolutely it does, but we are going to figure it out and we're going to be okay because Donald Trump, at the end of the day, is not our greatest threat. Our own government is. Our own government's policies are.
Yesterday, the government pleaded the Ways and Means motion with regards to 3 tax measures. Now, I'll just take a very brief trip down memory lane, not to go too far back, but of course, we conservatives have been leading that crusade for taxes to max the carbon tax and the GST off the homes to cut income taxes. And of course, we're going to propose this. Liberal Senate crazy, and now all of a sudden they are at least in part plagiarizing our policy proposals and adopting modified and watered down versions of them. Their motion will partly eliminate the carbon tax, the GST off homes, and give a very modest, very tiny income tax cut. So tiny that it would be barely enough to buy you a cup of coffee every week at a Starbucks. But better than nothing. Conservatives came here to fight for lower taxes and more purchasing power. And so we are going to put forward amendments to this motion that will get rid of the entire carbon tax for everyone, for real, for good. We also push for the GST to come off with more homes so that we can encourage more building and more buying. And we'll push for a bigger income tax cut so people will actually notice so that hard work really does pay off for a change. Finally, we are going to push for cuts. We also
Our own government being an absolute embarrassment. Listen to Champagne here. Listen to what he says. Listen to everybody cheering him on as he says it. I am just, again, This is the worst psyop ever. Like, our government can't do anything right. They can't even manipulate us right. This is not a sound of mind educated person. The educated person would have been the conservatives who said this from the freaking get-go.
Speaker, it's a pleasure to be back in the House, and it's a pleasure to deliver for Canadian, Mr. Speaker. We are delivering on our plans to make life more affordable in Canada, Mr. Speaker. The first measure we introduced was a tax cut for 22 million Canadians. There are Canadians in our riding that are going to benefit from the tax cut. We're eliminating GST on first-time home buyers for their new house, Mr. Speaker. And we are removing the consumer covered price from law, Mr. Speaker. Together, we're going to build Canada strong, and I hope the Conservative will join us in that.
I wish I had saved it on my computer. I just don't have it on here anymore. But the clips of them saying that the carbon tax was actually going to make everybody wealthier, we're going to make money off of it, which makes no sense. And it didn't back then, but they said it, so some people believed it. Embarrassing. But then also, when Mark Carney was talking, he said this so many times during his campaign, where he would directly smear Pierre Poilievre. All he wants is going to cut taxes. Poof. Cut taxes. Poof. That's nothing. And here they are cutting taxes. I'm going to find those clips because I'm sure I'll use them in the future because it's just outrageous. The gaslighting, the lying is absolutely outrageous.
I like it. It's mine. The prices blow my mind. I feel so rich. I feel like a billionaire. I'm shopping like a billionaire.
Outrageous.
This week, the Prime Minister introduced a spending bill. It was called the main estimates for 2025-2026. And to be fair, his spending is not as bad as Justin Trudeau's. It's actually worse. So to start, he inherited an obese Liberal government. We know that. And he promised to, quote, spend less. The first spending bill that was dropped in the House of Commons spends 8% more than Trudeau did in his last year in office. That's almost 3 times bigger than population and inflation combined. So we know that he's going to say that this new spending is investments, but he's going to spend a record $26 billion on consultants. That's $1,400 per family per year, and that's more than the tax cut that he just talked about. He literally said on Tuesday morning that he would cap government spending, and he said it again today at 2%. And by the afternoon, he drops a bill in the House of Commons to raise spending by 8%. So how is the Prime Minister going to reconcile what he said versus on Tuesday morning with what he did on Tuesday afternoon?
Right Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member for the question because it goes to the heart of the transformation this government intends. The first is to shift the core of spending from day-to-day spending, operational spending, to investment spending. In other words, spending that catalyzes investment, particularly investment in the private sector. Mr. Speaker, we'll see that through Build Canada Homes. We'll see that through the nation building projects. We'll see that through facilities to accelerate private business investments, such as accelerated capital allowances. This government is putting in place the mechanisms to control operating spending, to shift the rate of growth that's been seen in recent number of years, and to reduce it to less than the rate of growth of the economy.
You know that old saying that, you got to spend money to make money? I feel like he's applying that here, except that doesn't work when you're a government and you're spending money on a bigger government that produces pretty much nothing in exchange for that extra money, those extra bodies. Mark Carney just introduced a $486 billion spending plan that has almost no details in it, by the way. There's no plan in there about how the money will be spent. There's no information about how the money will be raised. And so he already lost $20 billion from the tariffs, the counter tariffs that he removed before the election and then omitted from the public. He's now going to be losing more money from the the wonderful 1% that he's saving all of us in our income taxes. So yeah,
what's
he
he
sounds
doing?
like a pretty.
Well, he's breathing weird a little bit. He just ate. And he's like,
I told you, he's making that fucking weird sound. It's freaking me out.
yeah, I know, but it's like not. That's what you check for.
I'm gonna get shit done right off. Cool.
Pretty bad economist. A pretty bad one indeed. Yikes. Before we wrap this up, though, I wanted to show you. So Rosemary Martin was on CBC talking about Mark Carney being in the House his first time yesterday and just how he did. And just take a look at her facial expressions during all of this.
He does seem, I mean, he is a different politician than Justin Trudeau. I mean, I think that's undeniable. I mean, we saw some evidence of that, even if they share many similar values.
Yeah, listen, I don't, he did seem to be enjoying himself, was smiling and enjoying the moment. I'm not sure if he is as much a performer. I don't mean that in a negative way, but I'm not sure he delivers the same way that the former Prime Minister did. But listen, the former Prime Minister, it was 10 years to get to where he was by the time he left, right? And he had been in Adelaide before that. So he had a lot of time to get experienced in answering and not answering questions. If I could say one thing about the current Prime Minister is if you're not going to answer the question, sometimes you have to give a little something or answer a question rather question period in order to give the opposition something. Today it was very broad comments and statements, and sure, he handled all of them. But if you were a Canadian who's hoping to see the Prime Minister explain in more detail his plan going forward, he didn't get that today. We'll see whether we get there, right? We'll see whether we get there over the course of the next 4 weeks. Also worth remembering that this Prime Minister is not going to be there every Wednesday.
Stay here.
He will be there. Stay here. He can be there when he chooses to be there, but it is not going to be a 1 day a week kind of thing. Under normal circumstances, I would certainly be open to giving the benefit of the doubt with the Prime Minister not being there all the time. I think that was something good that Justin Trudeau did when he was doing it. But, it's like, oh yeah, no, you are running a country, you're busy, you have this cabinet to kind of represent you. You don't necessarily need to be there all the time, but especially right now, dude, if you're not there all the time, what are you actually doing? Honestly, what are you doing? What else is there that's filling your time? What? There's nothing going on here. You are not doing anything. You're not drafting up proposals. You're not having meaningful phone calls with people. You're not flying around to, be around with the community. What are you doing? Are you even in Canada when he's not? I don't know. I really don't know. And we never will, most likely. But this whole government is just yikes. That's really all I can say. Yikes. And unfortunately, our future is in their hands, and it's not looking too good so far. I'm Jasmine Lane. This is Over Opinionated. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, comment, follow, like the video. All of those things help an awful lot. And that is it for me today. I will talk to you tomorrow.
What we use QuickBooks for a lot is it's kind of the backbone of all the other systems that we've developed. Being able to see those numbers and then compare them month over month, year over year, that's what allows us to know, okay, are we actually headed in the right direction?
A little over a decade ago, Tony Robbins taught Oprah to walk on fire.
Like many legacy institutions, the WHO has become mired in bureaucratic bloat, entrenched paradigms, conflicts of interest,
The mafia.
and
We're basically the
international
mafia.
power politics.
Organized crime.
Lied to us during the pandemic. They taxed us, lied to us, and censored us. So why would you ever give them the power to do that again? So while the US have left the WHO, Keir Starmer and the UK are doubling down on our commitment to the WHO. Why would that be? What's the relationship between the WHO and the UK? And what possible advantages are there to belonging to an organisation that's failed so dreadfully? At the one time when you might have needed a World Health Organisation, they not only dropped the ball, they inflicted the jabs. So let's get into it.
Members of the World Health Organization approved a treaty to avoid the mistakes of the COVID-19 pandemic in future global health crises. It will require countries to take
Stop it.
Future pandemics, with the goal of making medical supplies more accessible across the globe. But there are still a few issues that are yet to be resolved. New pathogen access and benefit sharing system in which countries share samples and data with drug makers in return for access to vaccines and medicine. The United States is not expected to ratify the treaty under the Trump administration, which could undermine its effectiveness. U.S. negotiators led the treaty discussions after U.S. President Donald Trump began the process of withdrawing from the WHO when he took office in January.
So how did we get here, and is there a way out? So what Telegraph in the UK? They call this Keir Starmer, because up to me, Keir Starmer about Julian Assange. Didn't know what a woman was with that meme was occupying the minds of the culture. Handled Southport very badly. Also, there was a point where he knelt down before someone and got a sword plonked on either shoulder. Keir Starmer has signed an international pandemic treaty that gives the World Health Organization the power to recommend lockdowns. Oh, right, because they did such a great job of it last time. The UK is one of dozens of countries to join the agreement designed to help the body coordinate the international response to any future pandemics. The treaty has wide-ranging implications for how the world would deal with the COVID-style outbreak, including by encouraging better disease surveillance and the sharing of vaccines and other medications. I remember when sharing these used to be a bad thing. The WHO said it was a victory for public health, science, and multilateral action and would protect the world from future pandemic threats. However, critics said it would give the organisation too much control and influence, including by recommending specific policies like lockdowns and mask mandates. It will not prevent the UK from following its own pandemic response and cannot legally bind ministers to a particular strategy. However, opponents said the treaty risked allowing unelected health officials to influence policy in the UK. Donald Trump's administration, which has not signed up to the treaty, announced earlier this year that the US would be withdrawing from the WHO. On Tuesday, in a video played to health officials during a summit in Geneva, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Mr. Trump's health secretary, said other nations should see the US's exit as a wake-up call. Let's have a look at that.
Like many legacy institutions, the WHO has become mired in bureaucratic bloat, entrenched paradigms, conflicts of interest, and international power politics. While the United States has provided the lion's share of the organization's funding,
spent 60 years of fucking life fucking buying this nonsense.
China obvious during the COVID pandemic when the WHO, under pressure from China, suppressed reports at critical junctures of human-to-human transmission and then worked with China to promote the fiction that COVID originated from bats or penguins rather than from a Chinese government-sponsored research at a biolab in Wuhan. And indeed, the WHO has, since its inception, accomplished important work in the eradication of smallpox. Too often, though, WHO's priorities have reflected the biases and interests of corporate medicine. Let's return to the core focus of global health and global health security, back to reducing infectious disease burden and the spread of diseases of pandemic potential. I urge the world's health ministers and the WHO to take our withdrawal from the organization as a wake-up call.
It isn't that President Trump and I have lost interest in international cooperation, not at all. We just want it to happen in a way that's fair and efficient and transparent for all the member states.
No.
We've already been in contact with like-minded countries, and we encourage others to consider joining us. We want a free international health cooperation from the straitjacket of political interference, influences of the
What's your
pharmaceutical
problem?
companies, of adversarial nations, and their NGO proxies.
Do you notice the tendency of Keir Starmer to bend over and take it, whether it's from the EU or the WHO? On whose behalf is he going? Why does he always seem to want to get down on his knees or bend over before these bureaucratic bodies? What on earth is he hiding? What do they know that we don't know? There's additionally Keir Starmer's capitulation to the EU, which we've talked about this week. It's extraordinary how often he's handing over
Don't
power
fucking
to
stop me.
unelected bureaucracies,
I'll put you
often in
inside.
direct defiance of the mandate of the
Thank you.
electorate. Keir
I
Starmer
don't like
and the
that.
Labour Party are no longer governing on
You don't like
behalf
that.
of the British people. That's not a claim that can realistically be made. There's clearly another agenda. In the same way that we learned that Joe Biden, through cognitive decline, senility, and cancer, couldn't be doing the job that he was nominally and explicitly supposed to be doing, we now know that he's essentially kind of puppet for other interests. It just became more explicit, obvious, and evident in the case of Joe Biden because he was so old and senescent. But the simple truth is
Man, I'm
this:
gonna have to cut them
anyone
together.
in that model of government has similar flaws and similar ties. And even if they're not so cadaverous and ludicrously Weekend at Bernie-ish, they're still being puppeted. You know, it's almost like someone's got their hand inside them and is operating them from within. Because they are certainly not free and autonomous and at liberty to express what they want to be able to express. I pray for Keir Starmer. He's a human being and he's the Prime Minister, and it's a shame we can't live in a world where you can just respect political leaders, but the simple truth is that we now know that they represent global and corporatist interests and are plainly controlled and manipulated by forces and resources that we're not able to understand and will never understand until the files are disclosed. Stephen Fry seemed to have almost like insight and foresight when it came to politicians of this nature. Here he is in, I think, probably the early 90s, parodying precisely the kind of phenomena that Keir Starmer exhibits so boldly.
Each taxpayer has got a good deal here. Honda has,
Yeah, but does it
if you'll
mean-
just let me finish, Honda has given us satisfactory undertakings to the effect that they will make no massive changes to the structure of government for at least 6 months, and that their only real social alterations involve converting Wales into a 7 million hole golf course and the replacement of all houses and flats in Great Britain with Perspex living. Have you tried? Yes, I have tried one of the pods myself, and believe me, they are extremely. Oh, what about unemployment? People are obsessed, aren't you? Every time a new idea comes along, some change which might do this country a bit of good, it's always what about unemployment? Leading record. Yes, there will be some unemployment. Honda have pointed out, for example, that we do not perhaps necessarily need up to 625 members of parliament in the House of Commons. They're investing in a new laser-operated governing system. Oh, just rejoice, can't you? This is good news for Britain. This is a vote of confidence in our country. It just proves what this government has maintained all along, that we are an attractive proposition for our customers. This is a good deal for Britain. A good deal. A good deal. This is a good deal. This is a good deal. This is good, G-O-O-D-D-E-A-L. For Britain. This is a good deal. Good deal for Britain. This is a good deal.
There you go. Just keep repeating it until you believe it. Keir Starmer has capitulated to the EU and now to the WHO. He's reversed the decision around Brexit and seems keen to repeat the bizarre and punishing experiment of the pandemic. Taxes when it came to the AstraZeneca jab that's developed in this country, and perhaps you'll have concerns about giving the WHO that amount of power ever again. What else going on in this man's life that he can't focus and govern properly? I pray that he receives the support that he needs and the redemption that all of us deserve. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. Remember, we'll be back on Monday the 9th, streaming at these times. In the meantime, if you can, stay free. Free speech is under attack. Mine particularly, yours and everybody's. We have to fight back. And how are we going to fight back? Rumble. You get Rumble Premium. You don't only get great content creators like old rusty Brandstein, AIPAC supported Zionist. You also get Mustafa Brandishahad. He loves Islam. Also, you get Old Russ. He loves Trump. And then you get Russell. He's a big fan of Kamala Harris. How many people do you need on one channel? You've got to get it. Not only do you get me, you get Mud Club with Crowder. You get Glenn Greenwald. He broke the Edward Snowden story. What do you want from people? You get Kim Iverson. It's all available to you in the Rumble chat for a limited time. You can get 10 of your American dollars off, and you can use crypto, baby, using the promo code APAC. No, using the promo code BRAND. Visit rumble.com/brand and get your discount today. Together, we can turn the crimson tide of foaming propaganda and stay free together. Click the link. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.
We're starting to see some impacts in the real data. You can see it in the latest employment data, you can see it in the housing data, and I expect you're going to see more in the releases to come.
Just look at this. Oh, the carbon tax is gone, but we don't adjust our figures. You know, we adjust everything else in the CP Live, but when it comes to this, oh, we'll just let that bring down inflation. Yeah. I mean, it's just so corrupt. You can just so obviously see it. The Bank of Canada is losing their grip on inflation. And not only that, the housing market is set to get a lot worse, especially in the places that boomed, because you're seeing rents that are continuing to go down here. So it's crazy what's going on. We had a CPI print that came out last week, which we'll get into in a bit. But first of all, I just want to quickly cover this and with what we saw with manufacturing jobs, because it's absolutely insane. In case you missed it, we saw 3.9% of Ontario manufacturing jobs gone, vanished in a single month. So that goes to show just how quickly and how volatile the job market really is right now. But let's get into what the Bank of Canada is possibly going to be doing. I mean, I don't really give a shit about the Bank of Canada, but everybody seems to care because obviously they're debt slaves. They're slaves to their debt, and they need those interest rates to come down. And the whole Canadian economy depends on housing, which is balanced on interest rates, or at least the mainstream media wants you to think that way. We know it's not the case on this count. So the decline was due almost entirely to the 12.7% drop in energy prices. And what they're referring to there is a decline in CPI. So, more inflation extremely high, and that's what Betwell is saying here. The Bank of Canada is in a tough spot right now because, as you can see on this chart, you've got core inflation that's going up and you've got the CPI that's going down. I mean, they're both the CPI. I mean, the fact that this happened right here, it just goes to show that these numbers. They cannot be trusted. They just can't be. That's why it is a CP lie. And Ontario losing 3.9% of its manufacturing industry in a single month is just absolutely insane. And then you've got average asking rents down annually for the 7th straight month at $2,127. So that means, again, the basis for investing in housing is completely out the window here. The national average asking rent in April was down year over year for the 7th straight month at $2,127, down 2.8% year over year. But this is the interesting part. So Ontario recorded the largest rent decline in April, down 2.7% year over year, followed by Alberta, down 1.8% year over year. Now, you've got to remember that Alberta has been the place where rents have been skyrocketing. And why was the housing market skyrocketing? If rents are going up, why was the housing market going up? I mean, you don't have to be very smart to put 2 and 2 together and work it out. That's exactly why housing prices were going up. It was not because loads of people were moving to Calgary from Ontario, like the real estate agents wanted to tell you, oh, everyone's here. I just dealt with somebody from Ontario, but the most people were actually housing market. And that's for them as well. Yeah, the same thing has been happening in Quebec and Alberta. So very interesting that you've now got rents on the decline, because that is going to completely just wallop and fuck investors, and that's going to mean that soon enough prices will be on the decline. In fact, they're already on the decline in places like Calgary, and this is a sign of the times. I saw Danielle Foch put this on X. Is your Toronto condo worth less than your mortgage? What to do if you're underwater? And yeah, it's totally true when you think about it. Seeing articles like this, what sort of housing market are we in right now? It's not just, oh, it's a little decline, it's just gone down a little bit. I mean, just go back to sleep. No, it's crashing, and that's what people need to get through their thick skulls. These people, mainly homeowners, who are just completely in denial, but they'll be capitulating soon because the labor market is going to show them the door, and it's not going to be pretty because that's already happening. If you look at the labor, I mean, just take a look at this. This is just complete insanity. People trying to get involved. TikTok videos with anybody who's trying to get into the labor market, who's trying to get a job, who's unemployed. It's just so hard to get that next job. I mean, it's not so bad if you lose your job and it's easy to get another job, but if you can't get one, that's where really things start to go wrong, because you fall behind on payments and things get worse and worse and worse. And the fiscal capacity, Alyssa put this on X, and I thought it's interesting. What you've got to think about is how and that's what people won't realize until it's too late. I mean, yeah, you're going to see stimulus and you're going to see different things like that, but it's not going to be on the scale, and it's not going to have the same effect as in 2020 and 2021. That wasn't a financial event. You have to remember that. And everything started before the real economic implications actually arose. They were actually coming after the fact when they've done the stimulus, whereas now it's the total opposite. Everything is happening before they do the stimulus. Like the economy, the wheels came off in Canada in 2022. I mean, nobody is fucking it on this channel. We know Canada has been in a recession. I don't give a shit if the government is saying, oh, we're in a recession now, and they tell you that 12 months later that you were in a recession right now. Who gives a fuck what the government said? I mean, the government is trying to mislead you almost constantly. Just look at this. Oh, the carbon tax is gone, but we don't adjust our figures. You know, we adjust everything else in the CP lie, but when it comes to this, oh, we'll just let that bring down inflation. Yeah. now. I mean, it's just so corrupt. You can just so obviously see it, but so many people can't. And that's what happened to core inflation there. The Bank of Canada will have to see what they do. And then you've got the actual inflation rate, like I said, that's on the decline there. Rent inflation lags, remember, but it has been coming down. So that's interesting. The unemployment rate, 6.9%, will have a new report that's coming out in a few weeks. The youth unemployment rate is just showing no hope, for young Canadians. The youth unemployment rate being at 14.1%, that's absolutely insane. That is really high. And it's no wonder when you then go and look at stuff like this, all these people who are just waiting to try and get like a couple of entry-level jobs. I mean, they're not really entry-level, to be honest, it's a government job. And that's tough. Why? They are doing so hard at the door and lining up for hours on end because the government job is just where it's at. Canada, because the government is the only one paying the money. People don't realize how it all works. Like the government, they don't contribute, they take away from productivity in Canada. They make investment worse into Canada because less and less people want to invest in a country where there's constantly more red tape, more regulations, more taxes to fund this ever big entity that is expanding and taking over the economy because it's just become so bloated. The government is really a parasite in Canada, and it's just attached itself to all the average working people. Little do they realize that they're subject to this disease. And then again, you're seeing, looking like for the summer here, that job postings are going to be scarce. So it's no wonder you're seeing things happen like in the labor market. So you've got to think, how is that going to filter through into the rental market further? And how is that going to influence investors' appetite to buy houses in Canada as well? I mean, again, you're seeing more and more capital flight, especially the higher net worth individuals. Get out. I mean, look at this side. So again, this is increasing. I would join my mail list if you want to join the event that I'm going to be doing, which is about offshore finance and different things like that. Some things that people really need to know, and diversification, I believe, is just the best thing that you can have. So more and more, 34% of conservative voting millionaires in Canada are more likely to leave the country now than they were during the last election in 2021, compared to 23% of liberal voting millionaires. So they know who's going to be targeted here. Are they going to the right places? Probably not. They're probably just going to the mainstream Western countries, the United States, the UK. I mean, in certain circumstances, the United States works for people, especially if you're high skilled, because the amount of money that you can earn there is unparalleled to other places. But if you've got a skill set or a business and you don't have to be in any of these Western countries, why the fuck in them? I mean, that is one question that you have to ask. I saw Jordan Peterson is moving to the United States, but why? Why isn't he moving to the Cayman Islands or somewhere like that? Like, it's just so ridiculous. But anyways, so yeah, you're just seeing more and more downward pressure here on the economy, and it doesn't look good as more and more millionaires are rushing to exit as well. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, I'd highly recommend you check out this video here. And if you're looking for a VPN, also want to protect your privacy and help out the channel, then VPN and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Vibration can crystallize matter into forms like a spinal column, complete with movement like a living centipede. Vibration can even make matter begin to aggregate together and rise up vertically and move forward like a living being. Acoustic imaging expert John Stuart Reid of Britain has shown that sound waves are in fact spheres, pulsating bubbles of acoustic energy. Using cymatics, he has created the first images of the vibrational geometric difference between a healthy cell and a cancerous cell. Cymatics makes visible the actual
The Prime Minister has been anything but transparent, hiding behind a loophole in Canada's ethics laws to hide his assets from Canadians. And it really begs the question, why? Is it because Mr. Elbows Up himself is dodging paying taxes? Is that why?
We missed you, Coop. We really missed you.
Mark Carney has refused to table a budget, but that hasn't stopped him from tabling an almost $500 billion with a T spending bill. Conservatives wasted no time in calling out the hypocrisy about the alleged fiscally responsible brilliant economist that seems intent on breaking Justin Trudeau's spending record, all while Canadians are missing their mortgage payments.
Let's take a look.
Honorable member for Calgary, Midnapore.
Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister said that he would be guided by a new fiscal discipline. He said that he would limit operational expenditures to no greater than an increase of 2%. Yet he's presented a bill of $500 billion to Canadians. Single mothers, seniors, small businesses all make a budget before they spend. You would think that a highly esteemed banker would know that and would do that. So is he really committed to a new fiscal discipline? Or is he just like the last guy?
Okay, so for those of you that may be asking, what the heck is Stephanie Kuzy talking about? Don't worry, because you're not alone. Most Canadians are probably saying, what the heck are we talking about? Well, Mark Carney tabled let's just call it a main estimate. And what this is a document that details how government spending is going to be, well, estimated to be allocated. It's not a budget, it's different. It's basically, this is the amount we're forecasting that we're anticipating on spending. That's what that is. A budget is a detailed breakdown with line item by line item by line item of estimated revenue, estimated expenses, where everything is going, and it's all inclusive.
So think of it like this. If I'm trying to budget my groceries for the week, I might sit down and look at the flyers and say, okay, I need eggs for $4 and I need milk for $3. And I might go item by item by item and also list out my prices. Now that is going to be your budget. In the same token, when you get to the grocery store and you make your purchase, the cashier tells you at the end of it, it's going to be $105.37 for everything that you bought here. That is your estimate.
So let's take a look and see what Stephanie Kuzy is talking about here. So she is correct, because Global News also reported on this, saying Carney government tables $486 billion spending plan with few details. Right at the top, you can actually see the 23, 24, 24, 25, and 25, 26 main estimates. Now, Trudeau's main estimates for 24-25 were around $449 billion. That's basically where it was slated in the fall economic statement. Carney is at $486.89 billion.
So that's a 10% increase roughly.
About 8%, which is what they're talking about in question period. Now, there's something really important that needs to be considered here, because not everything is in here, because it's not a budget. So this is further down, and I want to call your attention to this. This amount does not include benefits paid for from employment insurance, operating account, or expenditures legislated through the Income Tax Act, such as the Canada Child Benefit.
Too much math clutter? Creativity can't find space?
Benefit. And there's other pieces that are missing from here too, such as the $150 million increase for CBC, the entire $74.6 billion that is supposed to be in there from the fall economic statement that's related to the Canada Child Benefit. So what does that mean? It means that Carney's spending plan isn't around $486 billion. It's actually close to $554 billion. This is the guy that was elected on being fiscally responsible, the banker, the businessman, the guy who's going to save us money.
Doesn't sound like he's saving us much money now, is he?
Mr. Speaker, it's a pleasure to be back in the House, and it's a pleasure to deliver for Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We are delivering on our plans to make life more affordable in Canada, Mr. Speaker. The first measure we introduced was a tax cut for 22 million Canadians. There are Canadians that are arriving that are going to benefit from the tax cut. We're eliminating GST on first-time home buyers for their new house, Mr. Speaker. And we are removing the consumer covered price from law, Mr. Speaker. Together, we're going to build Canada strong, and I hope the Conservative will join us in that.
Wait a minute. This is the same guy that was standing up in the House of Commons criticizing the Conservatives for wanting to take money out of Canadians' pockets because they wanted to cancel the carbon tax. I'm pretty sure I remember that. I'm pretty sure I remember covering that many question periods.
Yeah, I'm going to say that it was either him or
everybody else.
One of his colleagues, probably all of them. Yeah.
And this tax break for 22 million Canadians equates about $35, $37 a month.
33 is what I've been seeing. Still though, it's less than $40 a month, which, you know, it's better in my pocket than the government, but still, it's not this huge tax break that the Liberals are making it out.
But making like more affordable. Well, here's the problem with that. So we have all that info. To the debt. So it's actually going up by around $2.5 billion. So that $35 that we're supposed to be getting back, well, that's gone. It's completely gone and then some because of these debt servicing costs. So, Champagne, spare us your success story.
The honourable member for Calgary, Midnapore.
Well, Mr. Speaker, Liberals never learn and they never keep their promises. The Treasury Board president said in the last Parliament that she would find savings of $7.1 billion on high-paid consultants. Instead, this government is now spending another $6 billion on high-paid consultants. The Prime Minister said that he would limit increases in operational spending of no greater than 2%. Yet he's presented a $500 billion bill to Canadians. So who is the Prime Minister going to choose? Canadians or his friends? Right?
Mr. Speaker, it is very clear we have already chosen Canadians and Canadians have chosen us, Mr. Speaker.
You're so annoying. So stupid.
The
future, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so I will say Champagne did have a good zinger there.
Yeah, but I can't hear it
kind of
because
served
fucking
that one
sounds
up to him on a platter. He would have been incompetent if he didn't take that one. So he had to take that. You got to give it to him.
Credit where credit's due, right?
No.
But you didn't talk about the promises in the campaign. You didn't talk about the fact that this is just going to be more of the same. Justin Trudeau entered office in 2015 promising some small deficits, and then the budget's going to balance itself. Mark Carney
That's why
came
we
into
make
office
budgets.
on the promise that he would
Go on
look
fucking
to
Word,
balance the
get a
budget,
fucking template
and
on
then
Excel.
investing in
Boom, boom.
Canada
There you go.
would
Numbers.
essentially have the same
Budget
effect. That's
done.
basically what he said.
Yeah, but I mean, anybody with two brain cells to rub together understands that them balancing the operating budget
parents tell
is
their
just
kids
an
when they don't
excuse
get
that
the
they
same
can
thing
use
for
to go
Christmas.
hog wild with the other
Because they
budget.
didn't get the same
And this is
thing,
what we're
doesn't
seeing.
mean it's
The
not
budget increases by
the same value.
6% on top of that. Hello? Hi. This is the same old story. We're spending more and more money.
still don't even know what the issue building projects are. Especially this time of the year, and for any government, especially a new government, when you want to table a budget to let Canadians know exactly how they're going to use our money.
Well, and to be proud of their campaign promises and start getting into the big projects that you've campaigned on. But what are they?
From Simcoe North. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is asking Parliament to approve almost $500 billion in spending, up 8% from last year. Nothing says spend less and invest more like spending more money on high-priced consultants and contractors. That's going up to $26 billion a year, over 35% increase.
Wow.
Is the kind of change this government trying to deliver to push civil servants out to bring their friends and high-priced consultants like McKinsey back in?
This question is specifically aimed at the public servants in the Public Service Alliance of Canada. It's one of the largest unions in Canada. So the fact that he's saying, they're increasing consultants is the goal to push out public servants. And again, it pushes right back against that liberal narrative that they secured all the Ottawa area ridings with, which is, the Conservatives, if you hire them, they're going to fire you.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, especially because there have been reports in the media recently where they have been letting go of several public servants. I think I have seen up to 10,000, some through CRA and some through other agencies. So really, it's the Conservatives flipping this narrative that may have cost them Pierre Poilievre in Carleton. They're flipping it on its head and saying, look, it was actually the Liberals who are taking away public service jobs, not the Conservatives.
And notice the Conservatives are not addressing the middle class tax cut at all, because this was in their platform, despite it being a higher tax cut. They can't then demonize what the Liberals are trying to do there and even say it's not enough money, because they were also running on a plan for a middle class tax cut, so they can't touch it.
To be fair, though, they have stated in recent days that they will support the tax cut, but it does not go far enough. Again, unless they poison the bill, I can't really see how or why the Conservatives would turn that down.
Right.
I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we're focusing on resolve. And you know what? The first measure that we have introduced in this parliament is to help 22 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. People in every riding. Canadians are watching at home and are wondering, are the Conservatives going to support them? Are they going to support this government? Because Canadians know that we have their back and we're going to fight for them at every step of the way.
Champagne, that's almost verbatim on what you've been saying for the last 4 years, is Canadians know that we have their back. Okay.
Well, most of us don't.
Right. Right. And again, he's not talking about the tax cut. But it's interesting that Champagne's response to it, we're focused on results. Okay. So union members in PSEC, you heard that, right? He said, we're focused on results. So what he's saying is it doesn't matter if we have to increase the cost of our consultants by 35% or 100%. And it doesn't matter if we have to fire 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 union members. What matters is results. We don't care how we get them, as long as we quote unquote get them. But again, I come back to results of what? What are you spending this on? All they're talking about is the middle class tax cut and the $50,000 savings on first-time homes. That's it. That's all they're talking about.
No, because that's really all that was in their budget. They're not talking about how these deficits are going to ruin the average family.
No, but they keep saying, well, by introducing a $35 savings a month for middle-class people and $50,000 off new homes, that's going to make us the strongest economy in the G7. They've said that multiple times, which is laughable. So what are you spending all of this money on? What? What are you spending it on?
Nobody knows because they won't release a budget.
Honourable Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, that minister has sat around the cabinet table for more than 10 years, and unemployment is steadily going up. It's actually at the highest point it's been in 10 years outside of the COVID period. We have an unemployment crisis, and Liberals are making things worse with another outrageous spending bill. This Prime Minister wants to spend even more than Justin Trudeau. So how can they ask Parliament for another $400 billion blank check with no budget, no plan for jobs, no plan to address the pain that their policies have caused?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we hear the member opposite talking out of both sides of his mouth. At one side, he's talking about the need to do something about unemployment, to do something about youth having excellent experiences in the workforce. On the other side, he's talking about the need to reduce spending. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, we know that we can actually do big things together. That's what employers want across the country, Mr. Speaker. They want skilled workers all across the country in every sector. We'll be there with the provinces and territories to make sure we have the fastest growing economy in the G7.
Minister Haiju is being deliberately obtuse because you can spend less money and also get things accomplished by spending the money correctly, not wasting it on stupid programs that aren't going to get you the results that you want.
Virtually every organization that I've worked for where I had to manage a budget, in many cases, I've decreased the budget and delivered better results.
Wow.
But the Liberals would have you believe that it's impossible to do, that the only way to get anything done is to spend more money. Well, here's the thing. If that was really the case, Canada should be the best place to live in on earth with the best healthcare system, zero unemployment rate, zero crime. And this should be the land of Shangri-La after the amount of freaking money that the Liberals have spent.
Well, and I think that this just goes to show how far removed these ministers are from the average Canadian, because those of you who have families like ours, I know you have had to have times where you're like, okay, we can't spend the money that we normally spend. We need to rein it in a little bit, but we can still be effective with the money that we are spending to get the things accomplished that we need to get accomplished, that we need to buy in the home. We can still have healthy food if we do X, Y, and Z. This is the struggle of the average Canadian family, but these ministers are so far removed from it, they don't understand how it's possible.
And again, if you've done the work to figure out what you're going to spend, why don't you have a budget?
Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South. Mr. Speaker, according to new data, Ontario's homeowners are missing mortgage payments in record numbers. 90-day mortgage delinquency rate jumped 71% since last year. Canadians are facing 40-year inflation highs, lackluster housing supply, and skyrocketing mortgage rates. And what does the housing minister have to say? That prices don't need to come down. As Vancouver's mayor, he oversaw rent going up 50%, home prices up 179%, and homelessness up 40%. Can the Minister of Housing tell Canadians how many more families must fall behind before his government takes action and finally tables a budget?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the member opposite, we have real challenges with housing across this country, and we have to address the affordability. We also have to tackle the trade war that we face with the United States. The tariffs are having an impact on Canadians. They're impacting affordability. They're impacting our markets. And that's why I applaud the actions of our Prime Minister and our ministers in addressing the challenges we face with the U.S., growing the Canadian economy, and ending this trade war.
Over a 70% increase in the people that are 90 days behind their mortgage payment. Unfortunately, we saw this coming.
You know, I believe it. We see it in our neighborhood where there's, what did we say?
Over 25.
25 homes for sale, just in our little neighborhood where there's maybe 300 homes.
Yeah, and there's typically 4 for sale.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, how many are empty and for sale for
but we've been
literally
talking
ever?
about this, unfortunately, folks. We've been talking about this for over a year, and we've been cautioning that things are going to get really bad right about now, and it's going to get worse as it goes on.
And that's because the people who bought when, not insurance rates, sorry, when interest rates were at the lowest, which was around now, 5 years ago, now their mortgages are coming up for renewal. They've been on fixed mortgages this whole time, and now they're coming up for renewal, and now they're finding that, oh my gosh, we can't afford our home anymore.
Well, and just think about that, because mortgage rates back then, like the interest payments were interest rates were sub 1%.
Yeah, prime was like 0.5%.
So, when you're going from that up to 5-6% now, that's a massive increase in your payments, especially if you budgeted your monthly payments for that sub 1% interest rate.
Well, and this is the thing, the government doesn't realize that Canadians, I should say, Canadians can't just print money to make their mortgage payments. They can't just run a deficit to make their mortgage payments. But this is what the government is trying to do, that it can't control its spending, so it's printing money, it's running deficits, it's investing in things that don't need to be invested in. Like, they're making a mess of our finances at the federal level, and they're telling Canadians that, well, you're kind of out of luck.
Yeah, because, don't worry, we're going to give you $35 a month. Everything's fine now. We're going to give you a GST cut on new homes, despite the fact that those of you that already own homes, you're probably going to lose it. This is not going to go well over the next couple of months, folks. It's going to get worse, unfortunately.
Honourable member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has been anything but transparent, hiding behind a loophole in Canada's ethics laws to hide his assets from Canadians. And it really begs the question, why? Is it because Mr. Elbows Up himself is dodging paying taxes? Is that why?
Good question. The Honourable Government House Leader.
We missed you, Coop. We really missed you. Wow.
That was good.
I love Cooper.
He tells it like it is. Yeah.
Doesn't care. Goes right after it.
Right for the jugular.
And here's the thing. He's right.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know that evoking conspiracy theories is going to advance the case of the Conservative Party. What I would say is, to repeat one more time, the Canadians should feel very reassured by the fact that we have among the most stringent ethics guidelines in the world, and the Prime Minister has not only met those requirements, but exceeded them.
Feels like a dream, feels like magic. Now I believe I can have it.
Except we still don't know where Carney's been paying his taxes.
Yeah, please tell me how he's exceeded them. Because we ended up having to vote for a guy. Well, we didn't. But Canadians ended up having to vote for a guy, or given the choice of whether or not to vote for him and his party, without knowing what he has. This is very, very uncharacteristic of Canadians' elections. And I find it rich that the Liberals stand up and say, proudly, we have some of the most strictest ethics laws in the world. Do you know why?
To stop the Liberals.
But the only reason we have the ethics laws that we have is because Conservatives brought them in. And even then, you guys still couldn't abide by the ethics laws last session. You had a whole bunch of ethics violations. And it still didn't stop you from doing it. So, they're obviously not that effective then, are they? So spare us. And talk about conspiracy theory. It is not a conspiracy theory to say that Mark Carney has not divulged his assets to Canadians.
Well, and not just his assets, but we know that Brookfield had offshore accounts. So where were they paying their taxes? Where was Mark Carney paying his personal taxes? I mean, I think Canadians want to know the answer to that. I think Canadians deserve to know the answer to that question regarding our Prime Minister. And I think it's suspicious that we're not being told.
Well, and we don't know what conflicts of interest that he has.
Right. As I had said to Michael Barrett in the interview that we had with him just before the writ dropped, that Canadians could potentially be voting for a man that we don't know if he has conflicts of interest, and that the things that he's putting forward in this platform are to enrich himself because of his holdings. Canadians had no clue.
Well, the issue is I think Mark Carney has already admitted that there's conflict of interest because he's already talked about having screens set up. So if you have to go to that length to have screens set up to prevent conflicts of interest from taking place, that's a bit of a problem. At least Nathaniel Erskine Smith, when he thought he was going to get a cabinet position, but didn't, which is the only reason he ran according to him, he at least sold all his stock so that he wouldn't have any conflicts of interest. So the question for Mark Carney is, why didn't you do the same? Or is it because, now you're going to be making some decisions, or you're going to have other people making decisions that are going to end up benefiting you?
Guess we'll have to wait and see.
Some people are born with passion for animals. Ross University School of Veterinary Medicine matches that passion with a fully immersive.
You may have already heard of what the U.S. is calling One Big Beautiful Bill, a 1,000-plus page document seeking to make many changes in the U.S., but you may not know how this could impact. Because one specific section will likely apply to Canadian investors, forcing them to pay a higher percentage of their investment returns on investments that they've already made. This could result in individual Canadians losing thousands of dollars that they would have otherwise been able to pocket personally. To be clear, you're going to want to listen to all of this, especially if you're a Canadian who's invested in US-based assets, specifically interest-bearing assets, US real estate, both rental or personal, and the thing that likely applies to the most people, any US personally. To be clear, you're going to want to listen to all of this, especially if you're a Canadian who's invested in US-based assets, specifically interest-bearing assets, US real estate, both rental or personal, and the thing that likely applies to the most people, any US stocks that pay out dividends, which could include out from the dividends they receive from their US stocks inside that exchange-traded fund. This is going to impact a lot of people. Don't worry, I'm going to break it all down. Let's go over what this is, why it's happening, when it could come into effect, and most importantly, how much this could cost you. This is the Act, and its short title is cited as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. As of right now, things are subject to change inside of this bill. Right now, it's passed through the House, but not through Congress. So language could change in here, but I'm going to give you the most up-to-date information as it is right now. This bill is changing hundreds of things, but the only one thing that really heavily impacts Canadians, that is this Section 899, known as Enforcement of Remedies Against Unfair Foreign Taxes. In short, the U.S. is saying that they'll be imposing an increased withholding tax on certain countries, the U.S. with their own tax policies. Now, we'll get into why Canada falls into this category in just a moment. If you're not already familiar, for U.S. investments made by Canadians, there's something called a withholding tax. Let me explain. Here are the basics. It skips over some intricacies, but this will give you a good idea. Let's say you made an investment in a U.S. stock of $1,000, and that stock pays out something called a dividend or some sort of return that you get back on top of the growth up or down of the stock's value. For the purposes of doing math, let's say that this dividend payment is 10%. So on that $1,000 investment, you would earn a dividend of $100. But that doesn't immediately go to you. First, there's something that's taken out of it called the withholding tax. To make things simple, it's essentially the IRS, the equivalent of the CRA in the States, saying, well, we know that this money is leaving the country now, it's going to some foreign individual, but we want to make a little bit of money on it too, so we're going to take 15% of that and we're just going to hold it back here to make sure that we're getting our fair share. So in this example, $15 would go to the IRS, and then you would end up getting $85. But unfortunately for you, the Canadian citizen, you've also got to pay tax on this to the Canadian government. Let's say your personal tax rate was 30%. The Canadian government would say, hey, we saw that you just made $100 from this dividend. You're going to have to pay us $30 here on your annual income taxes. But there is something nice that goes on. There's something called a foreign credit, a foreign tax credit. Essentially, the government of Canada is saying, hey, we know the IRS already took 15% of this, so you can reduce this 30% rate by this 15%, essentially. I'm oversimplifying here, but this is essentially how all of this works. This prevents double taxation. Even though the Canadian government wants 30% of your $100 dividend gain, well, they're going to recognize that you've already paid 15% back to the IRS, and this will reduce down to 15%. It stops double taxation. But this is where things change. With this one big beautiful bill in Section 899, this withholding tax will be increasing at a rate of 5% per year, up to 20% of an increase from what the previous withholding tax was.
It really did blow 70 cents US. This is for the first time since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, the dollar's in a tailspin. Experts say it's about where to expect growth. It always comes down to the economy. That is the number one biggest driving force of how the dollar moves. So if the expectation is that the U.S. economy, GDP, will do better than Canada, money and investment will move there.
Inside the bill, they say that for any of these discriminatory foreign countries, of which Canada will likely be included, I'll explain that in just a moment, well, once that happens, we're going to increase your withholding tax by 5%. And any one-year period after that will be an additional 5 percentage points. They go on to say that this would reach a max of 20% on top of what the previous withholding tax was. The big problem is that these increases likely won't be made up for by increases to your foreign tax credits. Instead, it's likely that you'll have to pay these increases directly, with the CRA not giving you any kind of relief. I'll explain these details in just a second, but first I want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is Moomin. There's been a lot of buzz recently about shifts in U.S. trade policy, new tariffs or reworked trade agreements, a fluctuating dollar. Now, recently, amidst optimism that the tariffs will be more short-lived than expected, U.S. markets are rebounding dramatically. This is something that can significantly impact Canadian investors over the Also, they with the right tools to factor the noise, spot what's going on. That's where Moomin's Moomin Canada is introducing AI-powered tools that can help you stay on top of market shifts, whether you're trading actively or just keeping an eye on your long-term investments. First, there's AI Summary. Every day it scans all kinds of news sources to deliver a one-page digest of the most important news and market trends. It even includes proprietary trading data like unusual foreign tax credit of 15%, but we don't recognize these additionally added withholding taxes. So you're still on top of this 35%.
Conservative MP takes control over CTV reporter in a live TV interaction. In a recent live interaction with a CTV reporter, a Conservative MP demonstrated the party's assertive approach toward key issues affecting Canadians. This engagement highlighted the Conservative Party's critical stance against the Liberal government, particularly as Canada faces significant challenges in the new parliamentary session. The interaction served not only as a platform for the MP's views, but also as a reflection of the party's broader strategy under Pierre Poilievre's leadership. The Conservative MP took the opportunity to outline the party's commitment to repealing several key pieces of Liberal legislation. Among these are Bills C, 75, and C5, which the Conservatives argue have contributed to rising crime rates due to more lenient bail policies. This assertion is particularly timely Considering the growing public concern about safety in communities across Canada, the MP passionately conveyed that stricter measures are essential to protect citizens, signaling a clear message that the Conservatives prioritize public safety. Alongside public safety, the MP emphasized the need to eliminate the carbon tax entirely. This proposal resonates with many Canadians who feel that the tax places an undue burden on businesses, ultimately affecting job security and economic growth. The Conservatives believe that removing this tax will create a level playing field for Canadian manufacturers, allowing them to compete more effectively with international competitors. This economic argument is central to the Conservative platform, aiming to appeal to voters concerned about jobs and economic stability. The MP also criticized Bill C-69, labeling it the No More Pipelines law. This legislation has been a contentious topic, with the Conservatives arguing that it has driven away crucial investment in the energy sector, leading to job losses and economic decline in provinces heavily reliant on energy production. By highlighting this issue during the live interaction, the MP underscored the party's commitment to revitalizing the energy sector.
I use my lawn for lawn dimensions in a snap, for my custom lawn care, for finding out how much water is enough water. I press my lawn to get the confused.
Highlighting this issue during the live interaction, the MP underscored the party's commitment to revitalizing the energy sector as a means to bolster Canada's economy and maintain national unity. There is a palpable sense of urgency among Conservative leaders to address these issues as they engage with the public. The MP's remarks during the interaction were not just about critique. They also expressed a willingness to work collaboratively with the government if certain Conservative ideas are adopted. This approach demonstrates a strategic shift, suggesting that while the Conservatives will challenge the government's policies, they are also open to constructive dialogue. However, the MP made it clear that the party's role is to critically evaluate government legislation rather than automatically support it. This position aligns with Poilievre's leadership style, which emphasizes accountability and transparency. The MP asserted that they would review each proposal carefully before taking a seat.
Reinforcing the party's commitment to thorough scrutiny of government initiatives. The discussion also touched on the pressing issue. The discussion also touched on the pressing issue of housing affordability, a concern that resonates deeply with Canadians. The MP criticized the Liberal government's handling of this issue, pointing out that high housing costs persist despite previous campaign promises. This critique positions the Conservatives as a party that seeks to provide tangible solutions to everyday problems faced by Canadians, especially first-time homebuyers and families struggling to find affordable housing. In addition to housing, the MP acknowledged the growing sense of Western alienation, particularly in Alberta. This topic has gained traction in political discourse, especially with discussions around provincial referenda on separation. While the MP did not endorse such measures, they emphasized the importance of addressing the root causes of discontent among Canadians in Western provinces. This acknowledgement of regional sentiments reflects the party's challenges facing understanding of the diverse challenges facing different parts of the country. The MP articulated a vision for a united Canada, emphasizing that economic prosperity in every region is essential for maintaining national unity. They argued that repealing harmful federal policies will reduce regional tensions and foster a sense of cooperation across provinces. By connecting the economic health of Western Canada to the broader national interest, the MP sought to underscore the idea that a thriving energy sector benefits all Canadians, not just those in resource-rich areas. As the political landscape evolves, the Conservative Party strategy is to take control of the narrative surrounding key issues. The MP's confident delivery during the live interaction exemplified this approach, showcasing a clear and compelling message that resonates with many Canadians. The party aims to present itself as a viable alternative to the current government, particularly as public sentiment continues to shift in response to ongoing economic challenges. With Mark Carney now leading the Liberal Party, the dynamics between the two parties are set to become even more pivotal. The MP's remarks hinted at the need for the Conservatives to remain vigilant and proactive in their opposition. The party recognizes that Carney's leadership could change the political landscape, and they are prepared to engage in robust debate on critical issues facing Canadians. The interaction also served as a reminder of the importance of media engagement in shaping public perception. The MP's ability to take control of the conversation with the CTV reporter illustrates the significance of effective communication in politics. By confidently addressing the concerns of Canadians and articulating the party's positions, the MP reinforced the Conservatives' commitment to transparency and accountability. Moreover, the Conservative Party's focus on scrutinizing government policies aligns with broader public expectations for responsible governance. Canadians are increasingly demanding that their leaders be held accountable for their actions and decisions. The MP's insistence on evaluating legislation line by line resonates with this sentiment, positioning the Conservatives as a party that prioritizes thoughtful and responsible policymaking. In summary, the live interaction with the CTV reporter served as a powerful platform for the Conservative MP to assert the party's positions on critical issues. By addressing public safety, economic growth, housing affordability, and regional alienation, the MP highlighted the Conservatives' commitment to advocating for policies that they believe will benefit all Canadians. As the political landscape continues to shift, the party is poised to play a significant role in shaping the national discourse, particularly with Mark Carney, now leading the Liberals. This engagement marks a crucial moment for the Conservative Party as they seek to connect with Canadians and present themselves as a credible alternative in the evolving political.
Oh, with the fucking ostriches.
Yeah, so set for what seems like the first time in a year today. And as you can imagine, there was a lot of questions coming out of the Conservative Party that were quite serious. And so the Liberal Party, well, they came off like a rank amateurs, if I'm honest with you. Some of it's pretty funny. Welcome back to the Canadian Shield. My name's Sterling. Well, the Liberal Party came into the House of Commons today trying to, I think, make a point or bang their chest or something. They wanted to look like they were in charge and in control of the whole thing. More indication to me that they're trying to convince everybody something that's not true. Like, I believe their polling numbers have slipped pretty drastically in the short span that they've been elected. Like, people see that nothing happened. People are really taking that tariff news quite badly. And of course they are. I mean, Mark Carney will try to tell you that he's going to take all the tariffs, what he did leave on, he's going to spend it on people that are losing their jobs. But people are broke, and you want us to pay more money for American products. That's kind of American products that we can't get in Canada because they're not manufactured here. Anyway, that's a different video. In this one, I want to point out how the Liberals were just, I mean, I don't think I saw anyone beyond Mark.
Mark Carney and Champagne finish the question that they were asked. Like, they would stand up and they would all thank the people that voted for them, and then they would start to talk, and the clock would run out on them. Or they would be fixing their hair as soon as they see them on camera. You won't believe the way Christian Freeland was behaving the first time the camera was on. I'm telling you. And I just want you to see these things because it was a clown show on the side of the Liberal Party. There's no denying that. But we'll look at first state jitters and all the rest of it if you want.
First state jitters.
However, there were some really choice things that I think you and I could get a really good laugh out of. So let's have a look at those. I didn't leave all of his answers, but we'll start with Mark Carney because he stood up to make an answer, and then somebody from the Conservative side said a jab that would turn out to be the theme for the Liberal Party for the whole session. Oh man, I'm telling you. Mr. Speaker, may I first thank my constituents from the team for giving me the honor of coming here today. You also indulge me to. Great it is to see you in the Speaker's chair, and I trust that you're operating under the period of grace that will not be accorded to me appropriately as the leader of the opposition. So for those of you that are not aware, there are two gigantic televisions in the House of Commons that are sitting to see themselves on TV. Comes out because it's like a television time right there. Like a hockey for these ones. And so what happens is the cameras get on the person who's talking and they go around TV, and it depends on which party you're with, like you or which person you're with, and how they react when they see that. Oftentimes the Conservatives don't seem to care. They just like do whatever they're doing, but the Liberals, they want to nod and smile and they want to pretend like everything you're saying is engrossing, even though all you're really doing is avoiding the answer. So they asked the question of the brand new housing minister because that's important. Now I want you to look at Chrystia Freeland, who's just down in the corner, like, you know, what's going to be my left of the shot. Like, you can't really miss her. And then I want you to take a look at the way when she realizes she's on TV. Now in the middle, they ran his name and his title over the top of her face, so I put that part real short. I'm telling you. Looking forward to pursuing the most ambitious affordable housing plan in the history of Canada, delivering a GST cut to first-time homebuyers and ensuring we bring the development costs down. The Honorable. I just want to say that I didn't cut that off. He ran out of time. That's what. That's right. I mean, all the Liberal side, they were cut off. Like every time somebody stood up, they would just keep talking. And the important part of what they had to say, of course, is always, you got to bring it home with you. And it never goes. All the while, Chrystia Freeland has seen herself on the giant jumbotron because the guy beside her is on the camera, and her eyebrows are going off with structural marks or whatever that means. And she just can't handle it. She can't handle being on camera and not trying to act like, I don't even know what that is, what kind of behavior that is. What I do know is that it was funny to watch. I mean, imagine in your mind, this woman is a member of parliament representing a riding in this country, hundreds of thousands of tax dollars, and all kinds of write-offs, lunch paid for, free chauffeur, free car, and this is how she acts when the camera's on her. Like, come on. We have serious problems in this country because we allow people like this to sit in us. The next one that got me laughing was, you know, this is serious business, and these people are returning members of parliament. As soon as the camera was on, Dawn Crowder, she didn't have to go on the screen. She had started adjusting the mixing. While we're talking about serious business in the House of Commons, she's worried about, you know,
There is no question energy is Canada's power. It will help us build the strongest economy in the G7. I mean, you saw what I mean, right? There's no denying the fact that when she noticed she was on camera first, she put a frozen smile on her face. Because I don't know why. I guess she feels that she's smiling. Serious business, homelessness everywhere, dollars worth nothing, tariffs to the roof, all kinds of problems in this country. Country's collapsing in on itself. We had one of the MPs, the environment minister, stood up today and basically said that, there's no project that's going to be approved that's not low carbon. So that's the end of that pipeline. That's going to make Alberta really happy. And I'll get to that. But this, I'll do that in a different video. But this is serious business. And she's got a smile painted on her face like she's, I don't even know what. And all she can do is fix her hair. There are people who said, yeah, that's who I want representing me in this government at this time. Her, this is the one for me. Vote for these people. Honestly. I mean, your priorities are a little bit messed up. Okay, this next one, the best for last. I'm telling you. So I want to set the stage, okay? So you're running in the South Shore, St. Margaret's of Nova Scotia, and you're up against Rick Perkins, who's the incumbent, very adept speaker, probably a fairly decent, life in his community. He's really good in the House of Commons, gets things done, looks after all the things that are appropriate. Right? You run up against him and your very first time running, takes you up to the House of Commons. I suppose, or whatever it
Oh.
So this girl, who is the new representative of the South Shore St. Margaret's, she gets the question. And I just want you to watch it. I want you to watch it because oh man.
Mr. Speaker, last month voters in my riding on beautiful South Shore, St. Margaret, voted for change. A change to address the cost of living and a change to address the cost of living, which has eroded Canada's quality of life. They voted for a change that was more money in their pockets, and they voted for change that builds a more affordable Canada. As we build the strongest economy in the G7, we need to ensure that we meet those needs.
Oh, all of it is so fucking wrong. It's so really fucking late. I can see up the train over the thing. What is going on?
Oh, go to paper and then fucking sold it to Putin. Now it's like fucking cocaine from Putin. Fucking ridiculous.
So, you know, I suppose it is a sad point. These are the people that make decisions in the federal government.
And spend the money. You decide what your money goes for. And how much you spend on. Hey.
Vote for the party, you'll vote for the person, and you'll understand whether or not they're a competent person. All right, let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm going to wrap here. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.
No. No. Okay.
Even around their federal campaign, you'll notice when they talk about housing that they're going to build, they're talking about government subsidized housing. So they're going to be building, or they're proposing really to build a lot of rental housing, co-ops, social housing, not housing that you buy and own, housing that you rent. In many cases, you rent it from government. So that's the kind of housing they propose to build. So when Gregor Robinson's come out, we need to build more affordable housing. He's not saying you're going to build affordable housing for you to purchase. You're going to build affordable housing that you can rent.
Yeah,
The supply and demand side, though, Keith, right? You're building enough housing, rents are declining, it's all relative. You're overloading the market with supply, everything falls across the board. Yeah, resale prices fall, rents fall, but anyway, that's a dumb standard, that's such a like politics. It's a cycle though, it's like every, it doesn't matter if it's housing or any other kind of a market.
I'm fucking done with this.
It is a cycle. We have a lot of excesses, and it has to get cleansed.
The Liberal government's proposition, even around their federal campaign, you'll notice they talk about the housing that they're going to build. They're talking about government subsidized housing. So they're going to be building, or they're proposing really to build a lot of rental housing, co-ops, social housing, not housing that you will buy and own, housing that you will rent. In many cases, you will rent it from the government. So that's the kind of housing they propose to build. And so when Gregor Robinson has come out, we need to build more affordable housing. He's not saying we're going to build affordable housing for you to purchase. We're going to build affordable housing that you can rent. On the supply and demand side, though, Keith, right? If you're building enough housing, if rents are declining, it's all relative. If you're overloading the market with supply, everything falls across the board. Yeah. Resale prices fall, rents fall. But anyways, it's a double standard. But that's such as life of a politician.
And it's a cycle, though. It's like it doesn't matter if it's housing or any other kind of a market, like a product or service. It is a cycle. We have a lot of excesses, and it has to get cleansed.
the Liberal government's proposition, even around their federal campaign, you'll notice that they talk about the housing that they're going to build. They're talking about government subsidized housing. So they're going to be building, or they're proposing really to build a lot of rental housing, co-ops, social housing, not housing that you will buy and own, housing that you will rent. And in many cases, you will rent it from the government. So that's the kind of housing they've proposed to build. And so when Gregor Robertson has come out, we need to build more affordable housing. He's not saying we're going to build affordable housing for you to purchase. We're going to build affordable housing that you can.
Don't even start with that shit. Very displeased. I did fucking one, and then I have to do the other tomorrow. Because my wire cutters are not meant for cutting a sheet of something. They're meant for cutting like electrical wires. So it has all the different sizes. So all the ones underneath.
But the one you're talking about is not an actual metal cutter. You're using a wire stripper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a stripper. It's made to remove the rubber.
Yeah, but it has a wire cutter on it in the middle.
Oh,
So
yeah.
every time I clamp it down, it get the bottom ones underneath it get stuck in the.
Steel. For copper soft. Soft metal.
Oh.
That's why.
Well, I don't have anything else other than that. It's like I have nothing else I could have used anyway. You know what I should have done? I don't know, Yan. I just like can't. I'm gonna kill him.
Go fucking lie down. Stop it. Lay down. Lay down.
The spade?
Down. Lay down. Get the fucking toy out of your mouth. Okay. Everybody's grumpy in this house.
Oh, I'm very grumpy now.
I can see that.
Got eaten.
By the bugs?
Yeah, because I can't keep running in it. That's like, I waste so much time running in and out for like the thermocell, to deal with one of the two dogs, for fucking bunch of stupid shit. It's gonna be done by tomorrow though.
Good enough? Chicken wing?
Yeah, just the exact amount.
Good thing I did.
It's weird that I measured it this
I
way.
used Derek account. I thought they were gonna retrieve 10% on everything.
Oh, how much were they?
It's there was $27 each. But if you think about it, if you got like a 2 foot by 2 foot at Dollarama, 4 foot by 2 foot,
2 foot by 5 foot, I
it's
think.
like what, $5?
Yeah.
That's 4 by 25. Make the calculation. The other one, Dollarama, would cost you a lot more money.
Oh yeah, definitely. And at least like this is not coming from the garbage.
Rona only gives a 5% discount now on the Pro account instead of 10. So stupid. So I say $4.
You know what? That's like the, what do you call it? IGA. They no longer take air miles, and it's the moi card. I'm like, can I just stop doing, like, if you close your store and you don't take the, say, someone's gift card, I understand, that makes sense to me. But you can't just be like, we don't take air miles. It's a fucking air miles. My dad paid for my iPod for my 18th birthday with his air miles.
Somebody, there was a special on the Jello pudding. And the person what he did, it was like a time 50 the points or something like that. He bought the whole fucking pallets, and he gave the thing to a soup kitchen.
Okay.
So the people in there, I asked because we went to eat there, and they were taking the little pudding one by one. When they were serving someone, they took the little pudding, put it in the plate, and then took the little thing, rinse it, and give the cup back to the guy because he needed the thing for the points. So, and he got free traveling for the rest of his life.
Dom would have like a fucking like jizz in his pants over this. Like, if he could win fucking trips to fucking anywhere but here, just because he's like a fucking points junkie, like the points thing, and it's only because my mom for a long time had no money. So like when we were doing well after my grandpa died, she just spent all the fucking money. My mom is a severe shopping addiction.
Well, I know she does it on Amazon.
What?
She does it on Amazon, right?
It used to be eBay.
Today, Cody had to call the bank because a bunch of charges appeared on Amazon. Like his bank got charged a bunch of fucking time, a bunch of fucking money, so he obviously got
Is what I'm saying. To take the crypto thing, the bank apparently was supposed to have it under control. That's why they stopped the crypto thing, and they were like, whoa, 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 we're not okay with this. And then a bunch of people were up in arms, and they were like, okay, no, it's okay. Go ahead, do the crypto thing. And it's literally just so the bank was able to get a hold of what we were doing first.
The app was coming out. CIBC was like, oh, you want to use the app, and you're doing it's fraud free. I'm like, okay, so why do you have a fraud recovery center?
Because there's no such thing, and I don't understand what's so complicated to understand about this.
A hack is not a fraud if I get money stolen?
Everything's hackable.
Yeah,
Canada keeps saying this over and over of being like, oh, our technology is the best in the world, and it's fucking protect yourself from people hacking into. I'm like, yeah, but there's no such thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, the hacking thing, it's not that he's hacking my thing, he's hacking me. He's becoming me, and he's using my thing. So he's not actually hacking the thing.
The card, the bank card that I found, the card on my thing. There's no actual way for a fucking police officer to go and trace this to a person. He found it.
Crazy fucking thing.
Oh my God,
Crazy fucking thing. He left it on the top of the car.
And the car was still there?
We talked about it yesterday. Like, I had a phone, I fucking loved it. I fucking left it in the car. He left. He did the same thing, lost his phone. Somebody was going on to the highway or something, whatever. Someone was walking and heard the phone ringing. Took it. A cop was passing by at the same time, gave it to the cop. They called the phone. The cop answered. They went over there. He opened the phone, and then he signed a little discharge saying that it was his phone and left.
A little much.
It's too far-fetched to not be true.
No, it sounds about right. It sounds about fucking right. How fucking ridiculous our police are and shit. Like, yeah, that's a fucking thank you, police. You saved the day. One phone at a time. Good work. No one got shot, so that's good. Didn't have to go do an investigation. I'll go check my dog. Yeah, come on. I should probably wash my hands. Nothing. No. What are you doing? No. Back home. What are you doing, Bobby? Come here. Come.
What?
Why would you place a ball there?
The water?
Yes.
Oh, because he was drinking water. I'm sorry.
do that. We'll unplug your nose a little bit. Hang on, Jack. Baby?
Yes.
Did you want to take a bath?
No.
Okay. It's because I have to fill the bathtub anyway. Here. Here. You guys want to eat?
I ate
Thank you for feeding yourself.
the pasta.
Okay. Thank you for feeding yourself.
Of course I feed myself.
I know, I'm just like.
You're busy.
Yeah, but like even like from like.
Fucking day. Anyway, I like eating my leftovers. I like not wasting food.
Okay. I'll make you something else if you want though.
Give me a steak.
Just a second. Alrighty. Let's venture on into the bathroom. This. Oh, no, no, I found it. That goes in the bathroom. There's somebody else in the bathroom. Careful downstairs. How about going downstairs? Okay. Okay. Oh, spider. Sorry, sorry, I know. Okay. Yeah, because there's everything. Way back there. You know what? I used to believe that, like, sometimes things like just aren't working out, so you should probably like just let it go, drop it, and just like try again another day. Now I'll do that anymore. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking make this fucking work. Even if it's fucking up like a bajillion times. Yeah. No. I mean here. Look. If you see? I know, but it's better if you face this way. No. Come over here. Giacomo is not feeling good. Your belly. Yeah. I'm giving Jack a steam fucking bath.
Did you take the salt with you?
What? Yeah. Why, you want them?
Yeah.
So what I do is, ever since he had pancreatitis, he gets really bad gas. What? What?
This is the good one because I didn't know which one.
Can you explain to me later, though?
Oh,
I'm sorry,
okay.
because I just can't pay attention right now. Feel a little pressure. There we go. The better. Starts between the rib cage, and I just kind of push down. But sometimes if it is very stuck, it does start at the bottom. I know, baby. It's uncomfortable. There we go. I thought this was what was down. Yeah, I just put the poop down. That was a blockage. No, that poop sheet is too long ago. Yeah. There we go. Better, eh? Yeah, better? I feel like bubbles popping. What's up? Come on. Yeah, push that poop down. Something that came with ribcage normally. Could be the inflammation. Feels like something specific. Okay. Yeah, better, eh? Yeah, better? Okay. Want to go for a walk again? Want to go poop? No. Lay down? Okay. Come on. 1, 2. Okay. Want to go poop? Okay. Okay, go. Move, Whiskey. Go upstairs. Go up to Daddy. Go upstairs, please. Go upstairs. Go see Daddy while I deal with him. Whiskey, go upstairs. Yeah, call your dog.
He doesn't want to see me.
Yeah, but I'm just. He keeps being all up in my dog's shit. Go see. Go see Daddy. Go see.
Come here.
Go, go, go.
Come on, Whiskey. Come on, puppy.
Go upstairs.
Whiskey.
Go.
Come in bed here. Come on.
Come on, Jack. Wanna go for a walk or no? Go for a walk or want me to just rub your belly?
Up. Fucking lie down. Jesus Christ.
Right, come on. Come here, we go upstairs and rub your belly.
Oh.
You got your smile every day. Let's go upstairs. Mama, drop him off, please.
Oh, almost dropped my drink. Okay. 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 Come here. What was that? Okay. Oh, rubber belly. Hang on. Oh, fuck. Hang on. Let me rubber belly for you. Okay. I gotta go deal with my dog. I'll see you tomorrow.